everyone. In our last episode, we saw the draft, and as noted in that episode, we kind of face planted a bit. Greg Francis seems like he'll be potentially decent down the road, although he's only a 64 overall right now, so certainly not any kind of plug and play. JT Pritchett, for being a top 3 pick, pretty much a bust. Be potential 61 overall, he's already 22 years old, and there wasn't much to write home in the rest of the draft. However, with that backdrop, we simulated pretty much the whole month of July, just trying to get to the draft and then trying to sign our guys. And we strung together a really bizarre month. We lost the first 6 games of the month and had lost the prior game before that. So we started the month on a 7-game losing streak. Then we won 9 in a row over the course of actually bridging 3 weeks of time. Then we lost 5 in a row. And now we're on a 5-game winning streak again. So all of this has put us in a position not to contend for the division, because that's long since been put to bed, but put us in a position to really factor into the wild card race somehow, with a negative 40 run differential and a couple different injuries here and there. And we're in the mix. We're 2.5 back of the Astros. The Rays and Yankees seem pretty free and clear from everyone else. So pretty wild stuff. We also just passed the trade deadline. We did not get involved with any of those moving and shaking possibilities, but we can look at what happened around the league. Not a ton of trades were made. We toned the CPU trading sliders down just because it seems like, as is the case in many sports games, a lot of these teams will just go completely off the rails, like nonsensically wild, if you don't put some kind of restraints on them. So looks like the Rays and Angels did a 1-for-1 trade, Hunter Renfroe for Vidal Brujan. You don't see those 1-for-1 trades as much anymore. The Orioles made a bit of a splash, picking up a closer from Pittsburgh named David Bednar. Bednar has had a really good year in real life. Curious to check how he's been in this game, but I know he is controllable contract-wise for another couple of years. So they shipped out Heston Kierkegaard. I know he's one of their better prospects. Not sure about Ortiz or Rom. Cardinals and A's also had a 1-for-1 trade. Braves picked up James Wood, who's one of the very best prospects in all of baseball, for Ian Anderson, which is really baffling. Dominic Smith was once upon a time a really touted prospect with the Phillies. He's bounced around a bit though. So Smith for Jefferson Cuero. Jordan Lawler, another really highly rated prospect for the Diamondbacks. He is heading to Miami in exchange for Trevor Rogers. And then Blaze Alexander was on the move. Luke Weaver. And that's pretty much the end of it. There were some other random trades earlier, like the Red Sox and Royals swapped infielders, but otherwise it was pretty much just our trades. So I'm curious to look at a couple of things. First thing is I want to look at the top prospects and see where any of these guys fit in. So Jordan Lawler is 10th. A potential, already a 73 overall. So I'll have to look at Ian Anderson. Or in this case, it was Trevor Rogers, right? Ian Anderson was for James Wood. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor Rogers was on the trade block. He was like an 82 overall-ish B potential. Maybe not even 82, so I don't think that trade makes a ton of sense from the perspective of the Diamondbacks, but what are you going to do? Looks like Jackson Jobe is a top 15 prospect, so that's kind of cool. Good to see. And then anyone else who's on this list for us, we've probably already traded away. Yeah, there's Colt Keith. He was the cost of doing business in the Baez trade. All right, so let's check out let's see. I want to check out Bednar. So he's 97 overall. That is incredible. I had no idea he was rated like that. That's really something. So for being as highly rated as he is, his numbers are really not great. ERA of almost 4. I guess let's see what his FIP is. 253, so much better. So he's been a little bit unlucky. But that is wild, a 97 overall. So the back end of the Oriole bullpen is really something. I guess, so Yennier Cano, who in real life has been one of the best relievers in baseball this year, doesn't have much stamina, 28 overall in the stamina department, is apparently just a starter for the Orioles. It doesn't look like he's started any games up to this point, so I guess they just plugged him in because of an injury, but that's kind of bizarre. So there's that, and then let's look at Trevor Rogers. Curious. Yeah, no, not 82 at all. Not even close. 78 overall. So the Diamondbacks traded 73 overall, a potential shortstop who has barely started his professional career, for Trevor Rogers, who is ending his rookie contract this year and is going to arbitration, has an ERA of almost 5 over the past 2 years, and is B potential 78 overall. So I don't think that's going to win whoever's commanding the Diamondbacks front office any awards anytime soon. Bold strategy, as they say. And then let's look at Ian Anderson. Yeah, same deal. B potential 78 overall. I guess he has 1 more year on a renewable contract. But for an A potential top prospect, I'm not really sure that he should be the cost of doing business. So let's see. Looks like James Wood is stashed in AAA. So yeah, almost the exact same trade as the Lawler for Rogers trade here. Well, that's pretty much that. So like I said, not a lot of moving and shaking otherwise. Let me look at Mudhens are right above 500, so they've kind of settled in as perfectly average. Seawolves, almost identical, 49, 48, perfectly average, and then we're doing our best to be perfectly average after being below average for most of the year. I talked about contract extensions last time around. Honestly, it would probably be worth it in real life to give that a go, but with the way things are in our franchise right now, I mean, Zach Neto, for example, I don't think it would be a bad idea to lock him up for 10 years, given that he's only 22 and he's developed really well since we've traded for him. I mean, I think he's gained 3 rating points in the past 2-3 months. But quite honestly, I don't know that this franchise will last beyond 3 years or so. So I don't know that it's really worth the short-term financial investment, given that the long-term payoff probably wouldn't really be realized by us. And this applies for pretty much everyone else too. Skubal I thought about, but he's lost a rating point as the year has gone on. He's struggled a good amount, ERA in the mid-4s. FIP is better, but I don't know that it's worth forking over however many millions of dollars when his arbitration contract, as it stands now, is probably not going to be that imposing. I don't think it's going to be that, you know, massive of a hit that we're going to take financially. And then so many of these other guys are just, like Wentz has been really good, but he's renewable for 2 more years. So let's just keep him right there. Olsen's renewable for 2 more years. Let's keep him right there. Same with Madden. So I think I'm just going to hold off for now. There's certainly an argument to be made that we could or should do that, but we got renewable contracts. Let's keep them. Let's take advantage of the fact that we do have the option to keep guys at a very reasonable price in that regard, and potentially use that money for bigger splashes like a Shohei Ohtani or someone in that realm. So it's about time we play another game. So we can go ahead and play this game against Pittsburgh. See if we can keep the 5-game winning streak alive. I'm going to have Pittsburgh wearing their black uniforms. I think those are pretty sweet. PNC Park is among the most beautiful parks in the league. I was actually lucky enough to go to a game there last year, which was really cool. It was a spectacular summer day. Walked along the river beforehand and ate dinner at a local place right outside the stadium. It was really cool. So we'll have Scooble on the bump. Looks like Torkelson's a little tired, so we can give him the day off from fielding, but we'll keep him in the lineup. And we will just roll with this setup here. Looks about as good as any other that we would have. Pirates are mired in a really tough season, which is saying something. The rest of the NL Central being really bad. I want to say last time we checked, the Brewers, I think we have a better record than the Brewers, who are in first place. I want to say the Brewers are 51-57, and we're 51-56. I'm kind of out of whack here in terms of my rotation of playing first 3, middle 3, and last 3. So I think what I'm going to do is just skip ahead to the late innings and just play this one out from there. So let's see what we can string together here. So we got 2 runs on top of the 3rd. Scooble has pitched well. Energy's looking really good too. Alright, so we'll take over with a 4-0 lead. McKinstry up. Let's see how we did our damage here. Nick Maton went deep, his 11th of the year. And then a couple doubles from Riley Green and Eric Haas. Scooble pitching really well. So I will get the bullpen going. Looks like Vest is already warming up. Let's not do that. Let's get Chirinos up, and we'll get Holton up as well. Don't know that I'll need either of them. In fact, it'd be great to see another complete game shutout, but would rather have relievers ready to go than assume I won't need them and need them in a pinch. Looks like McKinstry has, certainly cooled off a lot from how he started his year once we started giving him playing time, but I think he's still been a positive WAR guy. So I'm really interested to see heading into next year how those kind of players pan out, where they're pretty low overall. They don't have much in the way of like development abilities, but even in simulations they put up good numbers. Like, do they end up just replicating the performance and they're just guys who overachieve, or are they more likely to be complete flash in the pan guys and go from hitting 260 to hitting 160? That'll be interesting to monitor. I think we've had pretty good swings this inning. Green turns that one into a base hit. Netto's was smoked to left center, just didn't quite find a gap. And even McKinstry had a good timing on a fastball in the zone that he just missed. So another good timing there, but much ado about nothing. Let's see, Scooble's pitch count's very reasonable. It's at 80. Try to work quickly here. You can never really tell if someone went around from the broadcast camera, but it really did seem like he did there, so I'm glad the call supported my apparent ability to tell something that's pretty much impossible to tell from the angle that I was looking at. Up and in fastball. Old reliable. Tucupita Marcano is on deck. I can honestly say I've never heard that name before. Tucupita Marcano. I'm imagining he's a younger player for the Pirates. And puts a charge in that one. That's going to get down. Double probably here. His 15th of the year. Carlos Santana, always dangerous. I know he was right around the trade deadline acquisition for Milwaukee. Looks like the Pirates kept him in our world. Not much of a threat put up with the exception of that double. So let's head to the 8th. Torkelson looks like he's at 242. So he's kind of settled in somewhat nicely. Man, another good timing. And nothing to show for it. Let me just check real quick. I assume these are going to be the way that they are pretty much always, but yeah, alright. I guess I'm just timing things up really well right now. Yeah, Torkelson spent a lot of the first couple months in like the 200s range. Oh, and by the way, as soon as I, remark on how good my timing is, we all know I'm going to go straight in the toilet. But Torkelson has heated up over the course of the summer, and for him to be right around 240, 250, I think is more than reasonable. Tyler Nevin is started to adhere more to his ratings and his potential overall, it seems, of late. I want to say, from what I saw, he's down to 272, so it might be time for Tyler to make his way to the bench. Very Chris Shelton-like, honestly, in how he just came out of the gates, almost literally hitting like Barry Bonds, but I don't know that there was the long-term ability or potential there to keep that going. Will be an interesting consideration as August rolls on to see if we do stay in this apparent playoff race that we found ourselves in. So somebody just got hurt. Looks like Perez did. That's a bummer. I'll put it in Ibanez. Hopefully nothing too major. But with the way the year started and with the roster we had, I didn't think when we got into these later months in the season that I'd be doing anything other than trying to get playing time for our young guys and just seeing if anything really popped off the screen or if anyone made big strides. But now, as long as we're in the mix and we're competitive, we almost have to think about, like, all right, well, who gives us the best chance to win right now? I mean, we've been pretty much trying to do that all year anyways. But somewhat different mindset with the possibility of the playoffs looming. Scooble's pitch count's getting pretty high, and all of a sudden he can't find the zone. So he's got a case of the Time Maddens right now, it seems. And Reynolds going to bail us out. Ryan Barucki comes in out of the pen. Pretty underwhelming statistics. And Skubal's done. So we got Sawinski, Joe, and Gonzalez. I guess we'll go with a righty. We don't need to use Chirinos today. So I'll bring in Foley and rock with that. See if we can get our second consecutive shutout.
That's a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Seems like the injury bug has been cropping up even more so than usual lately for us.
What do you got?
We had Vierling, who was out for 2 months or so with, I want to say, a broken arm. He came back, and 2 or 3 days after that, he got hurt again. He's back again now. Turnbull has missed a couple weeks. He should be coming off the IL real soon. Obviously, Harold Ramirez has been out for the whole season pretty much with a torn rotator cuff. But now when Seal, our only all-star this year, he got hurt. Riley Green got dinged up too. Just missed a couple days, I think, but injuries starting to pile up. I think Eddie Ibanez, let's see, I want to say I fouled off maybe 6 pitches in a row here. How about that? At bat of the season from Andy. Brocky does have a bit of a strange delivery. Got a little bit of like of a hitch almost. I think they could have gotten the force at second there, but thankful that the Pirates thought otherwise. Zach Neto looks like he's going to extend our lead, and I'm sure they're throwing home, so I'm going to second. And we'll take those. '19th double of the year for our shortstop. Had a good pitch to hit there, just didn't quite square it up. See if Haas can come through. He cannot. Sinker right down the middle, and alright, so let's go to Foley. He's been our closer pretty much all year, and has been, I would say, maybe below average is being a bit kind. He's been great in real life. I mean, truly one of the better relievers in the league. But I don't think his ratings or potential reflect that in the game. Pitching well right now, though. 2 quick outs. As always, I'd love to see a sinker as part of the repertoire. And that probably should have ended the game in terms of how hard it was hit. But Pirates have a man on, and it will end the game because I don't know what he's doing going for 2. So nice win there. 6 in a row as we pull to within 4 games of 500, and depending on what's happening around the league, maybe even within a game of a wild card spot. I'm glad Perez is not seriously hurt. That really would have been a big time bummer. So let's keep on simming. The winning streak continues. We fend off a rally from Tampa Bay. New acquisition Hunter Renfroe went deep for them. Patrick Corbin continues his renaissance. That's almost certainly over-exaggerating it to call it a renaissance, but he has been pitching a bit better as of late. So let's plug in Perez back at second. And let's see where we're at in the standings. We are officially one game back of a wild card spot. The Astros have 2 games in hand. They've won 2 more, same amount of losses. Blue Jays, same record too. So we're all kind of in the mix there. As we've mentioned, teams above us have a lot more talent. I mean, all of these teams are in the top 10, and then we're sitting there at 29th. So pretty amazing that we're making this push pretty much out of nowhere. Yeah, it was only a matter of time before it stopped. It seems like when we lose, we get shut out with an alarming frequency. Yeah, well, that was predictable. Ugh, Foley. I mean, the problem is, I gotta move Chirinos to the closer. I wish you could set, and I mean, maybe he did use him in a high leverage situation because he pitched earlier in the game, but I wish you could set some sort of simulation logic for like, hey, use this guy whenever like stuff is really hitting the fan. Because Foley stinks. Let me look. I'm curious what his metrics are. Yeah, basically replacement level. And like I said, it is a shame because he's great in real life. By far been one of the best relievers in baseball this year, but he's not cutting it right now for us. We actually have a sneakily huge series here against Minnesota. 4 in a row. They're a couple games behind us. All at home. A real chance to kind of do some damage here. So let's see. I don't know if I want to bother pitching with Madden again. I might just sim the series and then pick up with that game in Boston. Alright, so let's just pause here. Did Chirinos get lit up? No, it was Boyd pitching in the 9th for some reason. I forgot to move Tyler Nevin off the starting lineup, but it looks like he's doing just fine. Yeah, it's still hitting 277, so maybe the juice is still worth the squeeze. Torkelson seems to be in a big slump. He's down to 234. All right, Turnbull's back. We can save him for the first game against Boston. That's fine. Tough break there. I knew the bullpen blew it. Yeah, Chirinos, of course. Still been one of our best relievers by far this year. What are you gonna do? Okay. Yeah, that's a fitting conclusion. So it didn't go well for anyone. What a mess. All right. Shipping up to Boston. With Turnbull back on the bump. Let's give maybe Maitan the day off, considering it for Neto too. Yeah, let's go with that. Boston has also, like the Pirates, struggled mightily this year. In a really competitive division, it seems like they've been taking a bunch of, I don't know if it's interdivision, you know, like beatings on the chin or what, but they're having a rough year for sure. Riley Green, how about it, kid? It's the first homer we've hit with him. I know we homered in a game recently. And 2 pitches into the game, we get a walk and a homer. 445 feet. How about it? Almost like an Eddie Matthews style, quote-unquote bat flip. Not really a bat flip, but just kind of a bat throw. Just hit a bomb and throw that thing into the 12th row. It's pretty cool they actually do have the sit-go sign in left field and not just some generic, you know, like imitation sponsorship. I think Haas is going to get on the board too. Got a little bloop single there. A good start for the offense. We've had our fair share of games this year that have seen our 3 innings pass with not much happening, so glad we can get something going. Torkelson starts with 2 strikes and then really good slurve. Gets me to chase, so there's our first out of the inning. Ooh, good sinker to hit there. Timing was good. Yeah, just missed it. See if we can work another walk here. We did have a walk, but couldn't help myself, so that's our second out of the inning. Nice kind of side note about this inning, besides the 2 runs, is that we've gotten Hook, probably Hauk, gotten his pitch count up near the 30s, and with this being the first game of a series, that's always nice to be able to dip into the bullpen a little bit. So we kind of sputter out after Haas's single, but the damage is done. Hoping for good turnbull today. You never really know. Oh boy. Jaron Duran's going to get a leadoff double. 2 different guys missed that. Maton at third had a chance to glove it, and then forget who's out in left. Probably Bierling, but he missed it too. Chance to cut it off and hold him to a single. Yeah, it's always a question if we're going to see good turnbull or bad turnbull. I feel like in the games that we have pitched with them, it's generally gone pretty well. And simulation is another matter entirely. I'm going to try the slurve. I don't try that one that often. I think Verling's got it. He does. Nice play. Maybe double play. Ooh, it was close. Alright. Devers is certainly intimidating, but get him to roll over on a sinker. So, trouble averted after the leadoff double. Slurve has some good bite to it. It's fooled me a couple times now. I think that might have been the first cutter that I've seen. Yeah, just went off speed for that at bat. don't think a single pitch was in the zone, actually. Ooh, nasty slurve. Perfect location, top right corner of the zone. And McKinstry's all the way down to 249. Way out in front on that one. Nah. My arch nemesis, the high fastball. Good pitch to hit there. I think that's going off the monster. It's going over the monster. Wow. Did not think that had enough giddy up there, but Neto goes deep, our second 2-run homer of the game. And he's just been killing it for us. I mean, this is the season he's putting together is probably the best Detroit shortstop season since whatever Carlos Guillen's best year was. I guess that was a classic Green Monster homer. Just a decently hit fly ball to left there. All of a sudden gets over the wall. Slurp just misses outside. Cutter got in on the hands a bit, but tack on 2 more. Justin Turner's been having a great year for Boston, it looks like, hitting .301. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that we've fallen more than a couple of games back in the wild card race since we've kind of hit the skids a bit as of late. Didn't intend for the fastball to be there, but it ended up being a pretty good location. That one stayed up, which was kind of what I wanted. McKinstry's able to run that one down. Yoshida put a charge into it, but not enough of one. Yeah, let's see if we can make this a quick inning. Get a punch out here, maybe. Connor Wong hitting just below 200. And we're going to get him to chase. So it is certainly possible that good Turnbull has decided to grace us with his presence today.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, chase that fastball up. That was a perfect example of one, though, that looked like it was in the zone all the way. Then I look at the feedback screen and see it was well over the zone. Just kind of bizarre. I mean, it obviously varies, too, based on the height of your player. If we do make a run for Ohtani, I mean, that would be incredible for many different reasons, but the only potential drawback with regard to hitting in Ohtani is that he's probably 6'4", and I feel like he's got a pretty tall stance too. He doesn't slump over like a lot of these guys. And so that could make deciphering the strike zone a bit more challenging, but that's the biggest problem you have with one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and maybe the greatest baseball player of all time, then I think you're in a good spot. Double for Maton there, so let's see if we can put together a 2-out rally. Looks like we can. That one's going to get down, so Nevin is going to drive it a run, and I'm heading for second because, yeah, overcooked the goose there. But we do get the run in. So double and a single with 2 outs. Extends our lead to 5-0. Let's try and keep Boston off the board here and then sim this one out. Perfect sinker there. Mondesi, I wonder how big the sample size is for him this year, because he's hitting 145, which, assuming that he has been a starter this year, might be one of the lowest numbers I've seen. And of course he smashes a pitch into the gap. That might even be a triple with his speed. Well, it doesn't look like, close play fight now. Doesn't look like we're keeping Boston off the board. So, new goal. Prevent them from tying it. That would be ideal. Oh boy, alright. I'm gonna send Chris Fetter out. Hope for a double play here. That would alleviate the pressure significantly. In these kinds of situations, it's always really tough when you can't get that first out. It's almost like a guillotine starts hanging over your head. Pressure just builds and builds. But we get that first out there. And if we're able to use the magical powers of the sinker, we might be able to get out of this inning. That's the problem. I may have spoken too soon about good Turnbull, because that sinker was located about as poorly as one could be, and all of a sudden it's 5-4. I was pretty much joking when I said the goal was to prevent them from tying the score this inning, and then it has very quickly become all too serious. Pitch count also is just flying up. Well, people don't really take taxis anymore. They just Uber, but pitch count is soaring like a taxi's meter in New York City traffic. So we got ourselves a game, that's for sure. So let's see what happens here. Glad we could tack on some insurance. Turnbull's energy looks alright. Still looks alright. Keep him out there. And this one has been hopefully put to bed. So I'll bring in Holton and he's able to finish it off. So nice win there. Got off to a good start. Would have been a shame if we wasted a 5-0 lead right from the jump. But well done all around. Two homers for Riley Green. 7 RBIs, gotta be a career high. Torkelson still managed to go 0 for 5. And Turnbull wasn't missing too many bats, but turned in a pretty good start, all things considered, when the hay was in the barn. Alright, so I will sim up to probably the second game against Cleveland. So let's keep it moving. Alright, hold on, I'm trying to, okay, great. Well, let's do an Uno reverse here and see what happened. Turnbull, meh. Corbin, stunk it up. Oh my gosh, the bullpen. So we were up. It was 5-0 in the bottom of the 9th. And then for some reason, Will Vest was brought in. He didn't do the job, nor did Chirinos. I can't imagine why Vest was pitching, because Chirinos was well rested. But such is life with simulating. good sweep in Boston. Glad we were able to take care of business against a bottom-dwelling team like the Red Sox. Not something you get a chance to say very often. Which that did get us back to within 4 games of 500 again, and then we squandered it. Twins are actually above us now for second, and there's been some separation in the wild card race. We're still only 4.5 back, but we're behind the Angels and Twins now, in addition to the Astros, and then the 3 teams that are actually holding on to a playoff spot. So if it was an impossible dream, quote unquote, which the Red Sox pulled off in the 60s, it's probably looking a little more impossible now. But the fact that it's even a conversation is pretty cool and kind of remarkable. The NL Central just continues to be odoriferous. Brewers have a 2-game lead and they're 4 games under 500. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are just annihilating everyone in their path. 82-38, 11-game winning streak. Wow. I mean, it says something that the Padres are 73-49 and they're 10 games back. I would put them in first in pretty much every division in baseball besides the AL Central. Wow. AL East race is decent. Orioles holding on to a 4-game lead. And Guardians are beating up on everybody. So they're closing in on their magic number, honestly. And then looks like the Rangers have pretty much eased into a cruise control in the AL West. Astros 500. Angels have gone on a bit of a run, but are still on the outside looking in. The Phillies, Mets, and Braves all fighting it out in the NL East. That's pretty much that. Real quick, just check on the league leaders. Corey Seager's cooled off a bit, but still 335 is nothing to sneeze at. And there's Ohtani. Let's see how many homers he's hit. So pitching wise, he's struck out 177, 152 and 2/3 innings, 3.66 ERA. Homered 27 times, stolen 16 bases. Wow. Amazing to see what the bidding for him will be this offseason. And not surprising to see a bunch of Guardians at the top of a lot of these leaderboards. Trout with 34 homers. Judge having a good season after his record-setting one last year. Curious to see stolen bases. Cedric Mullins with 39. Not the greatest speed numbers, so a bit surprising. Esteury Ruiz is stealing bases like crazy in real life. He's got 24 here. Poor Brendan McKay. Well, I guess not poor Brendan McKay. I thought that was going to be the league leader in losses, but really he's got the least amount among qualified starters. And yeah, more Guardians. Joey Wentz, how about it, kid? I mean, he's been one of the best pitchers in the league. That's wild. Let's see what his WAR is. Heck yeah, man. His FIP isn't bad either, so it's not like he's been particularly, like over the moon lucky. So that's cool. Good stuff. Quick check in the NL. Walker Buehler. Whew. Next level. 17-2 with an ERA under 2. That's like a late 90s Pedro Martinez season. Former Tiger great Nick Castellanos, and also former Cincinnati Red great, as we all remember from a certain home run he hit in Kansas City. Ellie De La Cruz, 41 stolen bases. Let's see what he's hitting. Not bad. It's almost actually exactly what he's hitting in real life, I think. That's alarmingly realistic. And Schwarber with 35 bombs. He was way up there for OBP too, so good for him. Corbin Carroll, looking like the future with his 9 triples. Trey Turner's having a pretty good season for the Phillies. And Michael Conforto leading the league with a .338 average. Somewhat out of nowhere, he did have a good 2020, but his year last year with the Mets was pretty much a disaster, and before that, his career high average had been .279, excluding 2020, so not surprising that the Giants just kind of plucked him seemingly out of thin air, and he's become like Tony Gwynn, but good for them. All right, so that'll do it for this episode. We're getting towards the end of August here. We'll come back with a game against Cleveland and see if we can claw our way back into the division race. And then we'll start looking towards September, see who we call up, see what young players we try and get in the mix, along with trying to contend, quote unquote contend. Thank you as always for watching. I'll see you again soon.